welcome to the Destination Destiny podcast. I trust that you all are well today. And for those that are joining for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. Be sure to catch up on the previous episodes. And if you're returning, I'm so glad to have you. Thank you for riding this journey with me. Today, we're going to be talking about something that is so important, it's so key, and it is funding your vision. You know, money is essential. Money is a tool that if you have enough of it, you can do great things with it. And the reason why we're talking about this today is because many people that have these big dreams struggle with going after their dreams because they feel like they don't have the financial resources to do so. But today we're going to talk about the importance of learning how to attract money. And one way to learn how to attract money is to start off by having a healthy relationship with money. You know, that is so key. Many people don't have a healthy relationship with money. Many people don't have the right mindset about money. And one thing you must understand is that when you're doing this thing for God, fulfilling his plan for your life, there was money that was already set aside, resources, provision for you to execute your vision. And you must learn how to discover it. You must learn how to attract it. We were not created to work for money. Money was created to attend to us. And that's something that you must learn because your idea about money, your perspective of money comes from different experiences. You know, some people may have had a tough childhood where they didn't have enough financially, and because of that, they struggled. They lacked in various areas of their lives. But you can define your experience when you learn how to attract money. And one thing that you must learn how to do when you're going after this big dream is to learn how to attract money, how to make money work for you. You know, joining the rat race can be tiring. Attempting to climb up the corporate ladder can be messy. It can be overwhelming. It can lead to burnout. Many people are in jobs that they hate or they're not fulfilled with simply because they're after the paycheck. But when you learn to live from a place of vision, you understand that your life is much more important than a paycheck. And when you truly live out this vision, the things that normal people, regular people chase after come to you. You know, this whole thing about trying to make money, living from paycheck to paycheck is not God's plan. It's a vicious cycle and it never seems to end. So I want to just make that clear. Now, fulfilling a vision doesn't mean you don't have a job. It doesn't mean that you don't have a 9 to 5. Having a 9 to 5 can be a part of God's plan for your life. Not everyone was designed to own their own thing, be their own boss, and so forth. But you want to be at the right place at the right time. You want to ensure that wherever you are at specific seasons of your life, you want to make sure that you're not a slave to the system, but that you are still thriving, you're still dominating even that area. I'll give an example. I was working, for the time I had a 9 to 5 until one day, God said it was time to call it quits. And it was painful because I was used to the security of having a paycheck to to look forward to in 2 weeks. I was used to the security of, even though I didn't really like the job, there was a possibility for growth. There was a possibility for promotion. And you get sucked into trying to please people. You get sucked into trying to do things, even if you weren't really happy. And so that's what I'm against. Not against a 9 to 5, but being somewhere where you're not happy, being somewhere where you're not growing, being somewhere where you're not supposed to be simply because of funds. Of course, there are various seasons and times in our life. So there might be some things that we have to endure for a season, to get to where we're going. And it doesn't even matter. There's no reason to feel bad about it. As long as you're right where God would have you, in the center of his will, that's the most important thing. I've had jobs in the past where I had to do this job because God told me to. So I had to know that there was a reason why I was there, maybe to learn something, maybe to add something to that company or to impact the life there. So that way it made it easier because knew that I was there for a reason, and that reason was just for a season. So we want to be able to understand where should be, every good season of our lives. And you never want to find yourself working just to have a paycheck. You want to ensure that you're working for a reason. You're working because you want to learn something. You're working because you want to impact something. You're working because you have a solution to give to that that industry or whatever it may be. Because the truth is, when you work for money, the money is never enough. With the kind of visions that you have for your life, the dreams that you have for life, I don't think there's one single job that can truly pay you for that or give you that kind of money that you're desiring. And that's why it's so key that we don't always put all our eggs in one basket. It's very important to understand that you can have multiple streams of income. In this economy currently, there's so many things going on with the economic downturn. There's inflation going on, people losing their jobs. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, because if you don't have other sources of income, you can find yourself in a tight spot when things don't work out. So you don't want to be stuck. I was speaking about the last time I had a 9 to 5. So the last time I had a 9 to 5 was in 2019. It was the year right before the pandemic hit globally. And I didn't necessarily like the job, but I was just there because I kept feeling like, let me just endure, let me just stick it out. Hopefully, I would get to a position in that company that I would enjoy. And then, right when I was thinking about maybe I'm making progress, I'm almost hitting my 1 year mark in this company, I lost my job. I was fired. And it was such a painful, heartbreaking experience because, number one, I've never ever been fired. Number two, I've never been accused of not doing a good job. And I didn't understand that, um, corporate politics and office politics was actually real, and that people will actually do whatever it takes to save themselves and cover their butts. I just thought everybody was nice, everybody was loving, and I got a reality check when I was called into my manager's office that morning, and I was told that I was being let go. And of course, I had so many emotions going through me. I was angry. I was upset. I was afraid. The topic of I was pregnant with, I believe it was our third child. And I was worried about how I would make it through, with 3 children and just one source of income. But in that season, I realized that God was trying to teach me a lesson through that season, through that challenge, through that storm. And that's why we should never undermine or try to get out of our challenges so fast, because there's always something to learn. There's always something to get. And those challenges never come to stop you. They come to lift you. So I learned in that season that God was calling me to a place where I had to see beyond the paycheck. I had to see that if I can just dare to believe and step out in faith to the journey that He has put before me, that money wouldn't be an issue. Of course, I'm not where I am financially now, but I know that if I didn't make that decision, I would have been worse off. So He had so many things He wanted me to do, but one of the excuses was that I was so busy with work, and this work was draining my energy. It was draining my creativity. It was draining me, but I just kept making excuses for it, because I kept feeling like I just want to get to this big goal, but I knew that there was so much more. So actually, me losing my job was a blessing in disguise. And the truth is, if I didn't get fired, I would have stayed there. I would never have left my comfort zone. So God wants us to believe Him. If He has put something before you, He has given you an idea, He's going to source it. He's going to fund it. But you have to trust Him. And to be sincere, it's not as easy as it sounds. Yes, it's like walking on waters. It's going to take you to really, really, put away the thoughts that try to scare you and listen to Him and trust Him in the process. And of course, after that, I got some other things that I was doing that I was able to make some money and so forth. But through it all, it has been a journey where I had to understand that God is my source. And this is so key when it comes to funding a vision. You must understand that a job is not your source, a paycheck, an individual, but God Himself is your source. When you are working on fulfilling your vision, God is your employer. And trust me, He has the best benefits package. He will pay you the best if you can just trust Him. So you want to start with your relationship with money. So I have a question for you today. What is your relationship status with money? Are you happily married, which means you're in good terms with money? Are you single and searching, which means the struggle is real? Are you divorced, which means you're overwhelmed with debt? Is it complicated, which means you're just outright broke? We might fall into many of those categories. You might be in between two. What is your relationship with money? You have to start there. Where exactly am I? You must have financial goals. Where am I in my financial goals? And please don't, this is not something to make you feel bad or beat yourself up, because like I said, I'm still on the journey to reaching my financial goals. But you must understand that you have to do this careful assessment of your financial status so that you can know what moves to make from henceforth. Because you never want money to be a reason why you don't do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. Next thing you must understand is that money has a language. And in order to attract money, you must be able to speak this language fluently. Money doesn't answer to complaining. Money doesn't answer to desperation. But money answers to the person who can who can see it for what it is and use it as a tool to bless others, to impact other lives, use it as a tool to influence others, use it as a tool to change the world. So money is going to respond to you when you're willing to see beyond your personal needs, when you're willing to see beyond the needs of your family, but when you're willing to be a conduit of, of financial resources to others, to nations, money would answer to you. When you have a big vision, you get to see that money will respond to you correctly. Money responds to you correctly also when you treat it right. Money responds to you when you have money and you use it correctly, not just using it to fulfill personal, materialistic kind of things, which isn't a bad thing after all. Of course, we can use our money to get material things, but money will respond to you. The way you treat money is how it would treat you. Just like no one likes to be misused or abused. If you can use money effectively, you can use it to a point where you can learn how to multiply it so you can have more to do more, right? So how do you do all these things? You want to analyze your spending habits. There's a point in my life when I was still single, and one thing that my money went to a lot was food. I was a foodie and I loved eating different types of food. And it's like I always was willing to treat myself. However, if you just continue to spend without saving or without using your money to, bless other people or donate to organizations and so forth, you'll see that it will just fly out. Money has wings. It's often said that money has wings. It will fly away from you. But when you're using this money to invest in others' lives, to have, investment opportunities to save, you'll see that you will have more. You'll see that you will attract more. So you must understand that your habits in relation to money is so key. Your spending habits will showcase where your priorities lie. Also, like I said earlier, your mindset about money is so key. There's a difference between a poverty mindset and a prosperity mindset. A poverty mindset is focused on needs, my wants. It's focused on, it thrives on fear. Like, oh my God, I'm never gonna have enough. And then you have a prosperity mindset, which focuses on how can I do more for people? How can I meet the needs of others? And this is an abundance mindset. It attracts more. You're not feeling like, oh my God, I have to struggle. I have to work hard to make ends meet. This was one thing that God had to help me to overcome. I grew up with people around me that mostly were immigrants. Maybe some of them didn't have a good education. So they were used to working 2 to 3 jobs to try to support their families. And for me, I just found myself growing up thinking that I have to work very hard to meet my needs, to have my dreams. I probably have to have multiple jobs, struggling, hustling, just to meet the needs of my family, of myself, and so forth. So I had to relearn. I had to unlearn that and relearn that money doesn't have to. We're not designed to struggle for money. We're not designed to hustle for money, but we were designed to learn how to speak to money, how to command money, how to attract money by simply applying kingdom principles. So please, if you want to have the right mindset, be prosperity minded. Think about that you have enough to meet your needs. Think about that God that called you, that gave you this vision, will supply it, but you have to trust Him. Don't try to help Him out in this instance. So, like I said before, what is the purpose of money? If you want to truly treat money right, you must understand the purpose of money. Money is a tool to to accomplish things, is a means to an end. And truly, if you don't understand the purpose of money, you're gonna misuse it. You will mishandle it, and you must have a plan for the money that comes into your hands. Don't let it just come into your hands, because you'll be surprised that once you have money, suddenly different needs just show up. Before, they might have not been there because, hey, there was no money, but once the money hits your account, there's so many things calling for its attention. So you must have a plan before the money comes into your hands. Just like when you're starting, let's say, for example, you're starting a business, you have a business plan. In the business plan, you have the financial breakdown of what you need to start the business, what you need to keep the business going, and so forth. So just with your life, just with your vision, you must have a financial plan, because it's only the plan that you have written down, that you have ingested, that God can bless. And also, you want to make sure that you have enough to see you through the tough times. Now, let me just put a disclaimer out there. When you start this journey of vision, you might not have all the resources that you need readily available. So don't be fooled, because that's one thing that can distract you and discourage you. But when you have a plan, you know that there's a goal that you're working towards with this whole financial aspect. And when you keep trusting God along the way, making those steps in the right direction, you'll see that you're going closer to your plan. And even if there's a setback along the way, you have something to fall on, which is that plan. So don't be discouraged, and don't feel like, some people say that I have this vision to start this big business, but I don't have capital. God can connect you to the right people. That's why we spoke about relationships. Relationships are so key. There can be grants, there can be programs that can help you. All you need is the right information to attract the right resources. So that is so important to mention. You also want to use your money wisely. There's times to spend, there's times to save. So you want to be able to identify those times. Another thing that is so key when it comes to living this life of vision is in order to, have a plan. Another part of having a plan is having a budget. Having a budget that you stick to, so that the important things in life don't go swept under the rug. So you don't try to say, I'm funding my vision, but you can't pay your rent. It doesn't add up. So you want to have a plan. You want to budget things out. You want to, put things in the categories of, the order of priority of needs. You want to separate needs from wants, so that you understand that when you're actually, the money comes into your hands, you're spending it wisely and not blindly. And this is so key, because it helps you to have a solid financial plan. Another thing here is that we don't fulfill our vision to make money, but we need money to achieve our vision. So we're not trying, our goal is like, oh, let me just fulfill, like, our goal should never be, let me just fulfill this big vision so I can hit it big and make money. But when you focus on the vision, which is to do what God has told you to do, that's just trust God to bring the right resources your way. He gives you the wisdom to to attract the wealth. He gives you the wisdom to multiply the wealth. And this is so, so key. Wisdom is a tool when it comes to wealth creation that you should never undermine. He can use tough times to make you wealthy, if only you can trust him and believe in him for wisdom. You must understand that as you follow God, he's your sponsor. So lean on him. Don't try to cut him out of this whole journey. Lean on him every step of the way. Don't never get to a place where you're like, okay, I got this. I figured it out. I'm wealthy enough. I don't need God, because there's always more. There's always more territory to conquer. And the more you impact lives, the more you go all out for people, the more you go all out to see that your vision comes true, it would in turn attract the money that you need to continue. So of course, when you first start out your vision, your dream, maybe God tells you to write a book or something, start a podcast like this, you have to understand that some things you will have to do for free. But there becomes a point where you have hit it in the place of influence that people will beg you to, to bless you with resources. They will beg you to say, hey, this is worth more than you're giving. I need to give you something. And so you have to understand that the focus is always on impact. The focus is always on how can I do better to be better for people. And as you do that, you see that money will respond to you. We said money has a language; it will respond to you. The more you impact, the more money you will attract. If you focus on meeting needs and solving problems, then you will attract the resources that you need, and you will be able to live the life of your dreams. You know, you must understand that people are willing to pay for solutions. So be a solution provider. They're willing to pay for people to help them overcome challenges. They're willing to see the end goal. They see themselves get to the end goal. So they will pay for it. Or you have to understand that with this journey to prosperity, abundance, wealth is a process. So you also have to be patient. So nobody, some people, you hear stories about people becoming um, overnight successes, but the truth is no one becomes successful, wealthy overnight. So you have to embrace the process, learn delayed gratification. You might not be able to do something at at this moment, something that you desire, but if you keep going on in this journey, you get to a place where you can afford to do it without even feeling it. So embrace the process, learn how to learn delayed gratification. And no matter what, in this journey, what makes it worth the while is celebrate all wins, no matter how small. It might just be a little increase here and there, a little percentage here and there, but no matter what, celebrate all wins. That will resonate with you, that will register within you, and it will keep you motivated to do more. From my personal experience, I've realized something. I might not always have the money that I desire in my bank account, right? But when I'm walking in this purpose, when I'm doing things that God has called me to do, suddenly my needs are met. And sometimes what you need for your life or vision isn't necessarily physical cash. There's different types of capital. There's social capital. There's things that I've understood that once I just focus on this thing called destiny, I attract favor. I attract the right people, the right information. I can just be quote unquote going on, online. And suddenly, because I'm focused on doing what God has called me to, I can find information that isn't readily available. It's not a coincidence, but it is a destiny moment because I chose to follow God. And you have to understand something as well. You don't have to pay for everything. I have learned to live a life where I believe in favor. I believe that I can get things that I need for my life, for my family by favor. And it's such an amazing experience. Just like you see celebrities, for example, if people want them to model their clothing or have their maybe like their phones, they give it to them for free because they're at a place where once they say, hey, this is amazing, people are dropping everything to go and purchase that thing. So you must understand that when you're doing God's plan for your life, when you're fulfilling his plan for your life, you're getting to a place where you are rising, you're shining for him, and you will attract people that would sponsor this dream. You will attract people that say, hey, this person has something unique. If I can just be a blessing to them, if I can just give them this resource, then it will attract some others to me. You have to understand that your purpose is tied to many other people's purpose. And when you keep shining, you attract everything that you need. And it's better that way because you can use the money that you actually receive for, other things. You must understand that God will never leave you hanging. He will never leave you stranded when you're doing his will. And you must understand something too. When you're working this journey of purpose, like I said, the money might not be there readily available, but when the need arises, be sure to know that the money will come. It will show up. It might come when it's like close to the deadline, but it will come through because you're on a mission and your employer is God. So there are different ways, there are different levels of wealth, different levels of, I call it money progression. One key thing that you must learn how to do as a visionary, as someone that's on a journey to destiny is first of things, you have to learn how to make money. Whatever, whatever avenue you have at the time, maximize it. Number two, you must learn how to manage that money. It's so key because you can have money. If you don't manage it, then you lose it. Then you must also know how to multiply that money. And as you continue to walk with God, you continue to have the right relationship, you begin to learn how to Master these 3 levels, and you'll find yourself in a place where you're never lacking, right? And then lastly, as we round up today's episode, you must understand that it's so important to know that there's an ultimate goal for the wealth that comes into your hands. Much more than meeting personal needs, you gather to dispense, you gather to help others, you gather to build others. It's for you to be a blessing. It's for you to be a tool for others that others can build on, a tool that others can use for their own elevation. If you live with this goal in mind to meet the needs of others, the nations, and so on and so forth, then you'll see that without a shadow of doubt, money will gravitate towards you. Thank you so much for joining today's podcast. I'm sure that you learned a thing or two about how to attract money and make money work for you. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, leave a review of this podcast, share with others that you know need this information, and be sure to follow us on all our social media handles and check out my new book titled Soteria, Saved by Name. See you next time.